Hi everyone and welcome to your daily tarot reading. This is for Saturday the 24th of February 2018. I'm using the Green Witch Tarot for today's reading. I'm going to choose 3 cards to give you an insight into the day's energy, what you'll be working with, and what the cards want you to be aware of, really. So let's have a look at what the cards have to say. So we've got the 10 of Athames, and Athames is swords in this deck. Then we have the Knight of Wands, and we have the Star, which is lovely. Okay, so the 10 of Athames, the 10 of Swords, is usually someone kind of face down with a lot of negative energy pressing down on him, and it's often associated with a kind of rock bottom state. Now, in this case, we've got the 10 of Athames. We've got this woman, this little witch. She's in the forest here, and she's doing some sort of ceremony. She's got a root there, which she's tying up, and she's got a cauldron. The 10 of Athames is a protective circle that's been formed around her, and we've got the wild beasts outside of the circle. This reminds me of a story that I read. It's a German story about this young man who wants to secure a bride, and the daughter is the daughter of a hunter, and he has to make a shot into a bullseye to really prove himself worthy. So he doesn't feel like he can do it. So what he does is he calls on dark forces, and he goes out into the forest at midnight, and he also makes this protective circle, and he starts making these special kind of demonic bullets, which are always going to hit their target. But obviously, because he's invoking dark forces, they end up consuming him. And the bullets, obviously, it ends tragically. So what we're saying here is that this protection, these are the swords. And even though it seems like you're protecting yourself from something and you're doing something of your own will, and that's the problem with a lot of magic and things like that, because you're asserting your own will. Like if you're doing a love spell, or if you're doing, especially a love spell, you're really asserting your will, and you're forcing it onto someone else. And we as human beings do have free will, and you can't kind of force anyone else to do your bidding. All we can do is try and find out what the universe wants for us and what the higher power wants for us, and to do the best we can with that, and to make choices within what's kind of laid out within our destiny. So this young witch, she's using negative energy, and the swords represent negative energy. And she's misinformed, because the negative energy, instead of taking these swords and putting them away somewhere and focusing on what makes her happy and being grateful in the here and now, and really trying to get some positive energy going, she uses the negative energy to perform a ritual and to create this circle of protection, which really doesn't protect her. All it does is it creates a negative space for her to create more negative action. These wild animals, even though these are adorable little baby warthogs there, they look cute, but that's what, in mythology and in all of these stories, the protective circle is about. That because nature senses something is wrong, you need to have this protective circle around you. Otherwise, they come after you, because you're doing something that's sort of against nature, so to speak. So she's trying to influence the outcome of what's going to happen. What she ought to be doing is letting go and accepting what is, and getting into a different perspective, and being grateful for what she does have, and trying to see what she can do in a practical, regular way to create more positivity in her life, rather than forcing things and making things even worse by kind of conjuring up dark forces for herself. So the reason for this is that she's in pain, obviously. You know, something is lacking. She feels negative. She's in emotional pain. Therefore, she thinks she can do something about that to make herself feel better. And that's a very normal human response, isn't it? If we feel in pain, we take a tablet or we take action which is going to make us feel better. So it's not about blaming yourself. If you're doing this kind of thing, or if you're acting in ways that are trying to reduce your emotional or physical pain, then don't blame yourself for it. It's you're doing your best that you can, but look at other options that are out there. Rather than entrench yourself in your pain, see ways out of it. And in my experience, the best way out of emotional pain is to get out of the self and to help another person, because that makes you feel better and that gets you away from thinking about yourself all the time. So by doing something selfless for another person, that's really the much easier way to reduce emotional pain. Whereas this is just making her focus more on what she wants and what her desires are and what's lacking and what's painful. Next card is the Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands is someone who is on a journey with going to the village for some reason. And the Knight of Wands is someone who's learning about how to live their life in a proper way without being overly extreme. The Wand is life purpose and life passion. So whether you do this, whether you make yourself really hurt today by entrenching yourself in these negative emotions, or whether you figure out that it's easier to let go of certain things that haven't worked out. You know, I want a great career, or I want wealth and fortune. Those are things that are either going to happen to you through hard work, and you may work very hard. Like, let's say you're a fashion designer, you may work really hard and your fashion designs may be wonderful and you may become famous and do well, but maybe it's not in your destiny to have that kind of life. And even though you have these great designs, it may not happen for you. So all we can do is put the work in and leave the rest up to the universe. And that's what life is about, learning that we do have our paths to walk, that we do have free choice, but within that, there are certain things that are destined for us, and that we can't just bulldoze our way through by willpower. We have to align ourselves with nature, with the process of life, if we don't want to hurt ourselves even more. Acceptance is the key to all our problems. That's what they say in the recovery room, because when you accept what's going on, then immediately you take the pressure off it and there's less pain. Whereas if you're propelling yourself to get what you want, there are often casualties involved, you being one of those casualties, and there's a lot of negativity that comes out of demanding what it is you want. So it's about being less selfish that makes a better life. And that's really confirmed by the star here. The star is this beautiful magical fairy, and that's what all of these women are, and all of the men, and everyone watching this, and all of us on planet Earth. We're all these beautiful magical creatures of the universe. We all have that spark of the divine within us. But we do struggle, and sometimes we do want things that aren't meant for us, and sometimes we feel lonely, and out of desperation we take desperate actions, and sometimes we're in real pain and we want to end the pain. And you know, we're human beings at the end of the day. We just want to make ourselves feel better and have hope for the future and feel better. And the reality is that by detoxing and letting go of all of those things in a natural, organic way, so letting go of pain by doing something nurturing and healing for yourself, by letting go of the emotional pain of loneliness, for instance, connecting with something beautiful, connecting with spirit, and letting go of that desire and saying, do you know what, universe, I really want a partner in my life, but he or she is not here right now. So I'm going to connect with you because I know that you love me and it's unconditional love. Or if it's disappointment in terms of the way your life is, connecting with who you really are through meditation, or through some sort of spiritual practice, prayer, and really remembering your true divinity and seeing yourself as magical and glorious as you are, is going to enable you to detox and let go of some of these things. It will allow you to let your light shine, and the more you let your light shine, the more good things happen. So it's a vibrational thing. The more positive you feel about yourself, everything that exists kind of imagine itself into existence. Everything that, every life has had a thought behind it. And everyone's experiences are a combination of what's kind of destined and also what you think in your own mind and how that combines and what reality that creates. So think of yourself as a wonderful, beautiful, amazing, divine being, which you are. There is no one like you. There's no one as magical and special and unique as you are. And you may think, now that I'm saying that, it's like, oh, well, I'm not that divine and wonderful because, I'm not as handsome as I'd like to be, or I'm a little bit overweight, or I'm not as clever, or I'm not as successful as I'd like. That does not matter. What matters is you as an individual, as a person. You're perfect, special, and there's nothing you need to change within yourself. So do not criticize yourself. Try and tap into seeing that truth of yourself. And what helped me with this was the Course in Miracles, doing the Course in Miracles. It's a year's course. And the Course in Miracles is basically just a book. It was channeled by this doctor of psychology or psychiatry in the 70s. It consists of a couple of parts. The actual textbook is super hard to read, but the workbook is a lesson for each day of the year, and it's very easy to do, and the language is much easier. And what that allowed me to do was to gain some distance between myself and the ego. So just because I think something doesn't mean it's true. So, if I think that I'm not good enough, then rather than just believing that, I have that little bit of distance, those seconds of gap between the thought and my reaction. And I can say, well, actually, that I'm not going to accept that. And I'm going to dismiss that thought because it's not real. So the more beauty you can see within yourself, the more genuine magic you're creating, because you're sending out a vibration of beauty and divinity, and that's how you're going to bring amazing things into your life, rather than sitting in your negative space and taking even more negative actions that will create more negative outcomes, and that will just put you in a downward spiral of more and more and more negativity. So it's a change of direction here. So you're learning how to live your life. If you do something negative to try and help yourself, don't give yourself a hard time. Accept it, let it go. None of us are perfect, and this is a learning process. So you've got a choice today. You can either go into will and ego mode and force your will to be done, or you can be hands-off and say, well, maybe this just isn't the right time for me. Maybe I should be hands-off. Maybe I should let it go and just wait for my star to appear in a week or a month or a year from now. And I have that patience to do that. And obviously the answer is to go with this side of things, because this is going to deliver blessings naturally and the way they're meant to be. And they're not going to create temporary circumstances for you that may look positive to begin with, but that ultimately are not positive and that are just short term. By the way, also disclaimer, I'm not saying anything against witchcraft or Wicca or anything like that. What I'm talking about is asserting your will and doing things that go against your destiny in a sense, because of fear and because you're acting out of panic. And, oh my God, if I don't intervene and do something drastic about this, my life is going to slide down in a direction I don't want it to go in. And that isn't what Wicca or witchcraft is about, which certainly I'm not expert in. But this card isn't talking about Wicca is bad. It's talking about acting from fear and using spiritual principles to entrench yourself in the fear. That's bad. So the choice is clear. Either force it or let go. Letting go is going to have a much happier outcome, and that's going to take you on your happy path to the village of your dreams. Number-wise, we've got 10 and 1 is 11. and 17 is 28. 2 and 8 is 1, and, well, 10, and 10 reduces to 1 in numerology. And 1 is about taking charge of the situation, being a leader, and being the magician in a sense. So be a magician in terms of transforming yourself into the person you want to be and letting your light shine. Don't use magic in a sense of a negative way. So you can use it, you know, the magician can be a white magician or a black magician. He can work with negative stuff and create more negativity, or he can be positive and create more positivity. So choose the positive route. It's going to lead you to this wonderful light at the end of the horizon, and it's going to give you real freedom, and you can fly like that bird. So it looks like an amazing day, wonderful opportunity for personal growth. And I'm sorry it's such a long reading, but this really is quite in-depth today. So I hope you have a wonderful day. If you would like a private reading with me, then please do get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. Click on the readings tab to order your reading. I use tarot, numerology, and astrology in my readings, and it gives me a really in-depth overview of your life purpose, your vocational aptitudes, who you are, what you're meant to be doing, what's going on in your love life, career, finances, spiritual progress, all of that. So if you're interested in a private reading, then get in touch via the website, gregoryscott.com. Please remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.